Hello friends, welcome. Today I'll be making a video on port state control. What are clear grounds? And I will explain it in a way that will be easy to remember for you for the exams. Let's get started. When PSC comes for an inspection on board, they carry out an initial inspection, during which they take a general round, they check the documents, and if they find a clear ground, then they carry out a more detailed inspection. So, what are clear grounds? Clear grounds are basically evidence that the crew, equipment, or the ship does not correspond substantially with the requirement of relevant convention, or even if the crew members are not familiar with the essential shipboard procedures relating to the safety of the ship or pollution prevention, then these are all clear grounds. So, keywords is the ship, equipment, crew, they are not corresponding with the convention, or the crew is not familiar with the shipboard operation. Let's go through the examples to understand it better. So first examples I'll share are with respect to the ship. Let's say the PSCO comes and he sees that the railings of the gangway are rusted, damaged. He comes on board, he sees rust patches large enough to make him feel that there could be danger to the weathertight or watertight integrity of the ship. So this would be an evidence for the PSCO that the ship is not in a good condition and it does not correspond with the requirement of the conventions. Compromise of watertight, weathertight integrity is the only point which is related to the ship. Now let's go through the points which are related to the equipment on board. Now if there is an absence of principal equipment or the equipment is not working, that can be considered a clear ground. Like Marpol Annex 1 requires a ship over 400 gross tonnage and above must have a OWS oily water separator which automatically stops if the effluent exceeds 15 ppm in oil. So absence of an equipment like that or the alarm system which must be fitted will lead to detention of the ship. Another point related to equipment is evidence from the PSCO general impression and observation that serious deficiency occurs in the safety, pollution prevention or navigational equipment. So, if there is a sign of paint accumulation, seizure of pivot points, absence of greasing condition of blocks or falls, or navigation lights are not working, these are all indications of clear grounds and a more detailed inspection may be carried out. Now we have covered one point related to the ship and 2 points related to the equipment. Remaining all 6 points are concerned with the crew competence and the way they are working. So let's go through them now. First and the foremost thing that the inspector will do, he'll come to the master and check the certificates. So if there is an evidence that ship certificates are clearly invalid, then that is a sign of clear ground. Second example will be if ship's log, manuals, or other documentations on board are not maintained or falsely maintained. So if in the master's cabin they ask for oil record book, they ask for fire plans, and if they are not present, then that is a clear ground. Then sitting in the master's office, if the person hears on the radio or he feels that key crew members are not able to communicate with each other on board the ship, then that is also a clear ground. Fourth point, a PSCO may receive when he's going on deck and he finds that there is an absence of up-to-date muster list, fire control plan, or for passenger ships, a damage control plan, or signed off crew name is still in the muster list. These are all signs of clear grounds. Then the fifth point is, let's say he goes on the bridge and he finds that there was a emission of false distress alert which was not followed by proper cancellation procedures. For example, EPIRB was accidentally actuated. Then it was not set right by calling the nearest coastal authorities and it was not informed to them. Hence a clear indication that crew is not familiar with the important equipment on board a ship. Then similar thing may happen to chief engineer, which is point number 5, that information or evidence that master or crew is not familiar with the key shipboard operations related to the safety or pollution prevention. So if the chief engineer was not able to explain how to release CO2 in the engine room or in the cargo spaces, that is a clear ground. Finally, it may happen that the PSCO receives a complaint or a report containing that the ship appears to be substandard. For example, The third engineer may report that the oily water separator does not alarm. Then again, the PSCO will contain a detailed examination. Only in these cases where there is a whistleblower, he does not disclose the source of information. Otherwise, during every inspection, if the PSCO finds a clear ground and decides to carry out a more detailed inspection, he must let the master know about what he has found and which is leading to this more detailed inspection. So, this was clear grounds in short. Basically, 1 point related to the ship, 2 related to the equipment, and remaining 6 to 7 points related to the people on board. So, people on board, you can remember using PSCO in the master's cabin. He does not find right certificates. He asks for the oil record book. He does not find that. Then he's listening on the radio. He's listening to the communication of the master and chief engineer, key players, and they are not able to communicate properly. Another indication of clear ground. He goes on the bridge and he finds out that right procedures to cancel a false distress alert was not carried out. So guys, this is one of the most important point these days and people are checking a lot because there are a lot of false distress alerts. So must be familiar with this. Then another point related to chief engineer, which is basically a point that people are not familiar with the principal operation of the important equipments. So if chief engineer is not familiar with the operation of CO2 system, that becomes a clear ground. And finally, for the crew, if the crew itself complains about something and gives an indication that there is a clear ground. 1 point related to the ship is only when he comes on board, he sees that railings have hole, there is a lot of rust on board. That gives him sufficient evidence that the ship does not correspond with the requirements of the convention. And 2 points related to the equipments are the principal equipment is absent, like OWS, or equipments related to the safety of the ship and pollution prevention are not maintained, like navigation lights. I hope this was a useful video for you. If you have any feedback, suggestion, or comment, then please write down below. I look forward to it. Thank you for watching.